A very warm welcome to you, and thank you so much for joining our Homeopathy 24/7 podcast. We are going to be speaking to an array of international guests who will share their knowledge and experiences of homeopathy with you. We will discuss all types of subjects such as remedies, symptoms, and stories of health. No matter where you are with your homeopathic journey, we aim to inspire you on your quest to natural health and living. The podcast is brought to you by Mary Greensmith, the founder of Homeopathy 24/7, which is a global platform connecting you with a homeopath wherever you are in the world, 24 hours a day. So let's get started with today's chat. Please welcome Mary Greensmith.
Hello and welcome. Thank you so much for joining us today. It's so lovely to see you. I'm really pleased to be able to welcome Ciara Corcoran. Ciara, nice to see you again. Thank you for coming in.
You're welcome, Mary Greensmith. Lovely to be here.
We love having our little chats, don't we?
We do. They're always great, and sometimes less is more as well. So it's nice to just come in and have these kind of snapshot sessions on various remedies. So yeah, they're great. Great idea.
Yeah, and I think it's so useful for people just starting out in homeopathy, just getting used to it. They know that you quite often you can walk into a natural health shop and see the remedies, but they're not allowed to put what the remedies are about and why. And I think just having these conversations really helps people understand that the remedies aren't just for one thing. It's about how you experience things that would lead to the remedies. So you have chosen to talk about Bryonia.
I have. And I'll tell you one reason I have is, like everybody, when we start out in homeopathy, well, I'm saying everybody, I'd say most people, whether you're home prescribing or you're a student or whatever it is, I distinctly remember making the fatal mistake of seeing yourself in every remedy. And it's a complete head melt sometimes, because when you're trying to treat yourself or your family, you're looking at 10 remedies and you're like, well, maybe that's the one, or maybe that's the one, or maybe that's the one. And to try and kind of alleviate that, I think when we look at remedies, we tend to typecast remedies. And I always think of remedies are like actors. So, you've got the kind of, the romantic kind of actors and remedies like Natrium muriaticum or pulsatilla. They always remind me of the kind of not femme fatales, but the female kind of, heroine type. And then you've got other remedies like phosphorus and thuya that are just kind of out there and, gung-ho for life. So the reason I chose Bryonia was when I started learning about Bryonia, I didn't particularly like the sound of it, to be honest. It was constitutionally, it came across as quite a kind of a grumpy, irritable remedy. And I always remember it being drilled into us. If you think of a bear with a sore head when they're sick, it's Bryonia, or they can be very kind of just curt when they're sick. So, but then as you learn more about the remedy and you learn its many uses, either from a first aid perspective, acute perspective, or on a deeper level, it's a brilliant remedy, and it shouldn't be typecast, is what I say.
It's a really good point. But we do go through those symptoms, don't we? And Bryonia is that typical remedy that really shows that when you feel this with this symptom, then that remedy might be relevant. So we all might go through a Bryonia stage at some stage, or have a Bryonia acute where we need it. So let's just mention first of all those keynotes that would make us think, oh, I need to consider Bryonia here.
Okay, so physically, I think one definite keynote for Bryonia is dryness of the mucous membranes, dryness of cough, and just a general feeling of, needing to drink, that it's kind of everything is dry about the remedy. The other thing is, for example, in a state of fever, it's a dry fever. It's not alternating with kind of, a wet fever or alternating necessarily with chills. It's kind of a dry fever. And the need to just be still, because any movement is just so difficult and so debilitating. So if you can imagine starting off in the fever state, if you've got yourself or a loved one who's just lying there and they just can't move and it's a very dry fever, that's the first remedy I will think of is Bryonia.
It's a really good point. And that not wanting to move is something that is quite particular to Bryonia, isn't it? And so the thing about Bryonia is that it's actually better for pressure, isn't it, on that painful part?
That's right. Yeah, exactly. So just taking kind of, I suppose, fevers aside for a moment, if you've injured your arm or a limb or whatever, or your back, the intuitive thing is to not kind of want any touch or any pressure, but actually if somebody feels better for pressure on that particular part or lying on that particular part of the body, that's another good sign that Bryonia might be your friend in that situation.
Yeah, it's something that we think. Now, you mentioned right at the beginning about grumpy. Let's talk about grumpiness.
Yes. If you can, I suppose, with everything, I like to try and put myself in somebody's shoes. If you're really feeling awful and you just don't want to move, and somebody is coming over to you all the time and chatting to you, and would you like this and would you like that, and can I get you this and can I get you that, and they just can't take it. Their nervous system can't take it. They just are inevitably going to probably turn around and go, leave me alone. So they just want to be left alone and not disturbed, just quiet. And naturally, they'll become irritable because they're in pain or they have a fever or whatever it is. So that's another, whereas other people love to be consoled, love to have company, want to be looked after and minded when they're sick, and enjoy it sometimes, the kind of I won't say pampering, but you know what I mean? Whereas Bryonia is like, I just don't want to be sick, leave me alone, and I wish this would go away.
Yeah. And they can become quite nasty, can't they?
Yeah. That's why I was saying, when I started learning about the remedy, I just didn't particularly take a shine to Bryonia, but it's understandable when you're in a state of, ill health and everything is ramped up. Sometimes the only way you can express this is irritability, and it's a great signpost for Bryonia. And the bear with the sore head, I think, does fit very, very well. Yeah,
it's a really good analogy. I love that. I am beginning to wonder perhaps that's what I'm like when I'm in, which is worrying. But anyway, so another point about Bryonia, which always makes us think of Bryonia, is paralysis or numbness, isn't it?
That's right. And I suppose it just kind of ties nicely into that, feeling of needing to stay still. There's a kind of there's a shutdown, a paralysis, you could say, emotionally and mentally, around Bryonia. And I don't know if you want to go into kind of the mental emotional symptoms yet, but I think vertigo is something that comes up quite a lot as well with Bryonia.
Yeah.
And again, you can imagine with vertigo, there are so many different symptoms, and this need to be still is a key symptom. Some people need to kind of, walking makes it better, or lying down makes it better. But with Bryonia, the vertigo is just, they feel like there's a sinking sensation. They feel like they're just rather than spinning, it's a sinking sensation. So
and certainly brings in that worse for any movement. Worse for moving the head, worse for looking up, worse for looking down. was
exactly.
getting down, being down and getting up.
Yeah.
So that's all Bryonia.
I think one other brilliant situation where you should always look at Bryonia is headaches, acute headaches.
Yes,
It's a big remedy in headaches. And again, as we know, when we're trying to find a well indicated remedy for headaches, it's not just about the sensation of the headache, it's the location of the headache, what makes it worse, what makes it better. And I think Bryonia has some very key symptoms. Usually it's kind of left-sided. It can tend to be kind of, around the eye area, and just, funnily enough, aggravated by motion. So even if you're just lying there with a really bad headache, the idea of if somebody calls you and you have to move your eyes to catch their attention, that's just too much. So any motion at all with headaches is, so it's really like the more you learn about it, the more you actually really feel sorry for someone when they're in a Bryonia state.
Yeah, you're right. And am I right in thinking that Bryonia is the remedy that when you're coughing, it hurts so much that you clutch your chest?
That's right. Yes.
You
Exactly.
you've got that.
Exactly.
Oh, I can't. It really hurts when I cough.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you hold yourself, don't you?
Exactly. You're almost tense. So if you see somebody coughing and they kind of cough like that, not really Bryonia, but if you someone and they go as if they're trying to hold it in, and it might sound very kind of innocent, or it might sound it'll sound dry, but it mightn't sound particularly kind of violent is the word I'm looking for. But you can see that it's excruciatingly painful in the chest area. So you'll see someone just holding their chest area like that, and it's just anything that will cause their body to stay in the same position, because coughing might also hurt your head,
Yes.
but in general it can be more that feeling of just absolute pain, just pure and simple pain.
Yeah. And actually putting pressure on that point is helpful. So
Yeah.
it might be further down. It's almost as
Yeah.
if they've got broken ribs, isn't it? You know
Yeah.
that?
Yeah.
You've got broken ribs, you just don't want to laugh and you don't want to cough and everything's worse.
I know.
Yeah, it can be like that, can't it?
Yeah.
And as you said, those bursting headaches
Mm.
where just no, I can't move right now. Just leave me alone.
Yeah. And the head and coughing as well. The head, that kind of bursting pain can happen if someone coughs, and it's aggravating their headache when they cough.
Yeah. So we can see we with each of the symptoms, with each of the cough, the headache, whatever it is we're talking about, we can see the same reactions come up, can't we?
Exactly.
Again and
Exactly.
again with Bryonia. It's a lovely remedy, really, isn't it? Because
Yeah.
it does actually, it does what it says on the tin. It is a homeopathic remedy that actually it's the way that you experience the symptoms that is going to lead to you knowing it's this remedy.
Yeah. And the other big signpost as well, of course, is thirst. They will drink and drink and drink and drink and drink, because that sensation of dryness, it's like,
Okay.
just go to the well, keep getting the water. And just a voracious thirst with Bryonia is another big symptom. So and the dryness will go from the dry fever to the dry cough to the dry stools. Actually, that's because it's the mucous membranes as well. So if the stools are kind of if you're moving on to constipation, if you're looking for, like, there's lots of remedies for constipation as well. But if there's just a huge feeling of dryness in the mucous membranes and the stools are dry and the stools are hard, it is one to look at to differentiate between other remedies as well. And you'll probably be really grumpy as well if you've got constipation with dry hard stools. So the themes continue right through the body.
Does, doesn't it? Because even if we go back to coughs, the cough is always going to be a dry cough. It's not going to be a mucousy, wet cough. It's always going to be a dry cough.
Yeah.
And we do prescribe it a lot for cough, don't we?
Yeah. And sometimes coughs can change. So it could be one of those remedies that it might come before or after a remedy that you've had, maybe fever first and then the dry cough, and then you give Bryonia, and maybe that just helps to kind of loosen things a little bit, and then the kind of the green. So, some remedies follow Bryonia very well, like sometimes phosphorus or arsenicum can be nice complementary remedies, but you're just looking at the particular picture. So yeah, often the dry coughs can change, but it's very much a painful dry cough in a Bryonia state.
It's a really interesting point, though, that we haven't really talked about in any of the other remedies, and that is that this is a remedy that is going to move you on to the next step.
Yes.
And so it's not necessarily a remedy that you're going to take again and again. It's a remedy to move you forward in any event, in any set of symptoms.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's I think in the last, I suppose, 6 months to a year with all the kind of coughs and colds and viruses around, I think Bryonia was definitely one of the top selling remedies and top used remedies in kits. So yeah, I think if you don't have Bryonia, get yourself Bryonia to have at home.
You should. Yeah. I think you're absolutely right. I think it was one of the top remedies, and also during COVID as well.
Yes,
because of that cough sensation. So, if there's one thing that you would like people to take away from this talk about Bryonia, what would you choose? What's the best and key?
Yeah, I think it can be very overwhelming when you're kind of trying to gather symptoms. But if there are 3 things that are jumping out at you and you're not sure what remedy to go for, the 3 things I would look at are dryness, irritability, and not wanting to move. I think they're the top 3. I mean, lots of people will talk about Bryonia on a deeper level as well. And I think, I suppose mentally and emotionally, there's some symptoms that you would consider for Bryonia where there's a really serious fear of poverty, or they have it's very like nux vomica actually in a way, because they're really kind of, they want to work, they need to work, but the driving force is they just are scared of financial ruin, or they're scared of having a lack of money. So that's probably for another day, and it's probably something that it's very hard constitutionally or chronically to talk about Bryonia, because that's a whole other ball game. And really, to get, as we know, to get best results for chronic and long-term stuff, it's always good to have a kind of an outside ear and an outside eye on using a homeopath on kind of.
That's right, because there's so much to go through, isn't there? Because I mean, what we might see with the Bryonia on a deeper level is repetitive symptoms that have indicated all of the things that we've been talking about. But the fact that their whole life is governed by the fact that they don't want to take risks because they don't want to lose money and they've got fear of business, which I suppose brings it to the emotional state of, I don't want to move. I don't want to take that risk. I don't want to take that risk. I don't want to do that because the fear, the pain is too much to do that on the emotional stage. So it's almost a play, isn't it, on the same things?
Yeah.
To take.
You wouldn't find them in Las Vegas, I'd say.
No, you wouldn't. No. No, it wouldn't be their cup of tea at all, would it?
Not at all. So yeah, that's hopefully that's been a nice kind of overview of Bryonia, and I think yeah, it's
Ciara,
it's a great remedy.
Ciara, it's a lovely, lovely remedy. Thank you so much. I think that's so useful. You've done a great
Yeah,
job. Thank
thank you
you.
very much. All right, bye.
I do hope you've enjoyed these episodes, and I do hope you can subscribe to our channels. Now, there are various ways for you to listen to our podcast or watch it on video on YouTube. So whether it's iTunes, Spotify, or YouTube, please do subscribe and please do leave us a review. If you leave us a review on these platforms, then more people will see our podcast. We just want more people to share the joy of homeopathy. It's a choice that everybody should know about. Please do everything you can to help us help more people.
We hope you enjoyed today's episode and look forward to listening to our next one. Please don't forget to follow our podcast on your chosen channel, and please do leave us a review so we can continue to share homeopathy with as many people as possible. If you do have any questions, please do reach out to us on any of our social platforms mentioned in the show notes. We at Homeopathy 24/7 hope to empower you on your natural health journey.